I cannot let you go without speaking about Ronda Rousey. Obviously fighting next week, making a return, getting a title shot against Amanda Nunes. So just a brief, what you think, the build up, not doing much media stuff like that. I know you have spoke about that as well, but how do you think the fight's going to play out, and strengths and weaknesses, etc. there?
I think this fight is a perfect example of why so much of what we all talk, if we're being honest and we're being using a critical eye and we're analyzing our own analysis and what we're doing here, this is a perfect example of just how full of shit we are. And I mean we, as in all of us that talk about fighting. I've been quietly, watched. I'm into a different sort of phase. It could be very short. I don't know. And we're all different. We all think differently. But I'm in a little bit of don't get involved in too much of the debates, because I realize most of those are very distracting. You're distracted from whatever you really want to be looking at. If you were watching the American elections, they were distracted by all kinds of weird conversations and something about emails and all this kind of stuff. And almost nothing was done talking about real policies that were the purpose of why you even have a politician.
Is the purpose of politics? Is that the purpose of politics? Policies? Because I never heard about that.
I know, we don't hear about it at all, right? And the purpose of fighting is fights, but we rarely hear about that, But so we're all really far up our own asses in many ways. Obviously, oh my God, should she talk to the media or shouldn't she? Who cares? I just want to watch her fight.
Yeah.
I get why you might not want to.
I'm in the same boat.
And then when we try to analyze the fight itself, I've seen people say, well, this is an easier fight for her because Amanda, Holly Holm won by backing out and maintaining space, but Amanda Nunes moves forward, so it's easy. It's like, okay, nameless guy on Twitter. That's a great observation that you can make, but somehow Amanda Nunes and her coaches would never make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if that's true, which it is not, but if it was true, the highest of Mike Thomas Brown and who's brilliant and all these great coaches and all these great fighters, nobody's sitting around going, hey, what do you think? You think we should spend 6 months or 8 months or from the time we saw that fight developing this tactic in case we ever fight Ronda? You think maybe we should draw her into space, work at making her chase, intercept her and damage her for chasing? I mean, my very first assignment, Dana White said, I want you to do a breakdown of how Holly Holm could win the fight. And I said, actually, I think Holly Holm's going to win the fight. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, her fights in the UFC have all been there, retreating and inviting and intercepting. They've been dress rehearsals for Ronda Rousey, and that's how you beat Ronda. And so I did 3 or 4 versions of that breakdown. There was a 2-minute. They ended up using the 1 minute. In the 2-minute, we really said, hey, look, this is what she's been doing. And if Ronda and her coaches are not aware of it, this is what we'll do. So that game plan is September of 2015. We were talking about it. It's now almost 2017. But Amanda Nunes and her coaches somehow have no idea. Of course they do. Of course they do. So that's what they would look to do. And logically, that will be a goal. But Ronda Rousey now will have had to change some things. You look and the Diaz brothers, the book was Kick Their Leg. They changed some things. It took some time because a lot of their stance that they were using up until that moment was predicated on being quite heavy on the front leg. And that allowed people to kick them. So they have to change it, but they can't just not ever be heavy on the front leg because that's how they'd lose a ton of the offensive arsenal that they created around that stance. So they slowly over time work between shifting that way. You do see Diaz check kicks now. You do see them work and leaning back, but they had to develop that, when we do lean back, things come, we'll have to get a quality shoulder roll. And so the adaptations are not just check kicks. I can't check kicks or I won't be able to strike. I have to learn to change my distribution, my weight, so that when I'm checking and something comes, I've figured out we'll have to develop a quality shoulder roll and a right hook off of that. Okay, we'll build that. It takes time. And Amanda Nunes has had all that time, so she'll do it. So Ronda Rousey will have had to develop answers for that. And so if she was in her perfect mental state, we have a fight that she basically goes and understands that any intelligent opponent, and Amanda and her team will try to fight her the same way that Holly did, and she gets the chance, so looks at it as a positive opportunity to go in and answer that. And there are ways, lots and lots and lots of ways to beat that. Otherwise, we're done. All we have to do is fight like that forever, and we're the best. We'll be the champion. It doesn't work that way. It's going to change. Everything's going to change. So, has Ronda done those things? We have zero idea. We cannot speculate. I mean, we can speculate. We speculate all the time. But our speculation is worthless. She should need to have developed that. Has she? Maybe. I mean, that's what we'll be looking for when we go to watch the fight, is has she done that? But, like we talked about throughout the show, just that, in a vacuum, is absolute bullshit. So if you take what I just said and you don't apply any other observation to it, I've just told bold-faced lies about bullshit. Because the truth, it requires you to understand where her mind is at. Because if she were a robot that we just programmed to go and counter this, moving away and intercepting thing, we would program the robot and it would either win or it wouldn't win. But she's not a robot. She's a human being who has seemingly developed, and maybe if the unwillingness to talk is because she's like, fuck you, I'm not going to talk. I'm about fighting. Great. If it's like an anxiety about talking, which the only evidence of that is when she stormed off the stage. I know I was one of the first to mention it, but Dave Meltzer, who is a very stable and very, he's a credible journalist, confirmed it, that she had to be consoled in the back after that march off. So that's one piece of data. But what is that data? Happy to be back. Oh, it's such a thrill. Oh, I didn't think it was going to be this emotional. Maybe that's that. But if it's, I get anxiety around large crowds, if it's that, and we decided to not do media going into it, then that's a problem. But we don't know. We don't know the answer to that. So we know that the last way she was beat would be a great approach for Amanda and her team. So they'll probably have done that. They'll have a plan B and C, but they will have done that. So Ronda will have had to find the answers to that, which exist and are plenty. And if she has been coached properly, which there's been not tons of evidence about that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of evidence that the coaching has been bad. So all of those are unanswered questions. Are you guys still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got a spinning wheel here. So all of those are unanswered questions. So to me, that is not a problem. In fact, that's exciting because now we have to watch the fight.
Yeah.
So I think a big part of how fight analysis developed over the years was from we got to sell this fight. To me, the biggest sales of this fight is we don't fucking know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
To me, that is the most interesting part. So that's always the truth. Analysis tends to, guys patting themselves on the back, talking about how oh my God, I'm Robin Black, and I think Lyoto Machida slipped that body kick in because this, and this. Look how smart I am. It's full of shit. The truth is we don't know. And not knowing is the most exciting part about the fight. And that type of honesty, I think, if you look at it, it opens up so many more possibilities. And when you haven't seen somebody fight or footage of them training or heard them speak, you have no idea. It's all speculation.
Yeah, it's that intrigue
you gotta see it.
It's the intrigue of the unknown.
Exactly.
It's the beauty of MMA.
Yeah, that's
we
it.
really don't know.